Go ahead. Pour it. I don't care if his truck's still there. Just pour it. That's what Pam Westbrook told the concrete crew as they sealed off the end of my driveway under 4 inches of wet cement. I had just come back from a 2-week survey job up in the mountains. Pulled in tired, dusty, and stopped cold. Sitting right there was a freshly framed 3-car garage, built straight across the only road leading to my front door. The narrow gap she left aside, it wasn't even wide enough for my father's wheelchair van. And when she saw the look on my face, she smiled. "Maybe now you'll keep that ugly ramp out of sight," she said. She thought I was the kind of man who wouldn't push back. Quiet, keeps to himself. Old truck, sick father. Easy to ignore. Easy to bully. What she didn't bother learning is that I make a living measuring land. That driveway, it's not just gravel. It's written into my deed. And the county had already told her she had no right to touch it. So I didn't raise my voice. Didn't argue. I just reached into my truck, pulled out my tape, and started measuring. Before we go any further, where are you watching from? Stay with me, because this story ends with a bulldozer. But first, you need to understand the kind of man I am before you understand what I did to that garage. My name is Garrett Pruitt. I'm 47 years old. And for the last 22 years, I've worked as a licensed land surveyor in Maury County, Tennessee. It's not glamorous. Most days, it's just me, a tripod, and a GPS rover, walking tree lines in august heat thick enough to choke on, swatting deer flies while I track down the exact point where one man's land ends and another's begins. But here's what Pam Westbrook never thought to ask. Property lines are my entire world. I know where they hide. I know how to prove them. And I know that a line in the dirt carries more weight than anyone's opinion, no matter how loud they are. I live at the very end of Old Beechcroft Lane in a small subdivision called Hawthorne Ridge. It sits right where the suburbs of Spring Hill start fading into open pasture. My lot is what we call flag lot. The house sits tucked back behind the others, and the only way in is a long gravel driveway that runs alongside the neighboring property. That driveway is mine. It's a recorded ingress-egress easement, written into my deed and every deed before mine, going all the way back to 1986 when the lots were first divided. I've got the paperwork. I've got the plat. I could sketch it from memory if I had to. The property that driveway runs beside belongs to Pam Westbrook. And if you've ever lived under an HOA, then you already know someone like Pam. She'd been president of the Hawthorne Ridge Homeowners Association for 9 years, which is about 8 years longer than anyone should hold that kind of power. Big personality. Bottle blonde. The type who throws on a pressed linen blazer over yoga pants just to walk her tiny dog past your house and silently judge your lawn. She drove a pearl white Escalade, parked it sideways across 2-spot at Kroger, and carried a laminated copy of the HOA bylaws in her purse like it was scripture. Her husband, Roger, ran a remodeling crew out of a metal shop on the edge of town. Mostly cash jobs, decks, sunrooms, garages for people who didn't want to wait on permits. That detail matters. Remember it. Now, I wasn't always living alone at the end of that lane. 2 years ago, my mother passed away. Not long after that, my father, Earl, started slipping. Parkinson's. First came the tremor, then the slow shuffle, then the falls. So I did what needed doing. I moved him in with me, built a ramp off the side porch with my own hands, poured a turnaround so his van could pull right up to the door, widened the gravel drive by 3 feet, so the wheelchair lift had space to come down safely. Earl spent 40 years working as a diesel mechanic. His hands shake now, but his mind is still sharp as ever. Most evenings, we'd sit out on that porch while the cicadas wound up, and he'd tell me stories about engines he brought back to life back in '81. I'll be honest, there's a reason it was just me and him. My marriage didn't survive the year my mother got sick. My ex wanted a different kind of life than one tied to hospital rooms and muddy boots and long weekends in the rain, tracing property lines. And I don't blame her anymore. But when Earl needed someone, there was no question. I had the room. I had the job. And I had a porch that looked out over open pasture. A man only gets one father. People around town used to call me quiet. They meant it like a criticism. But when you spend 20 years standing alone in a field, waiting for a satellite signal to lock, so you can pinpoint exactly where something belongs. You learn something important. The loudest person in the room is almost never the one who's right. You learn patience. You learn to document everything. You learn that dirt doesn't care about feelings. It only cares about what's recorded. That patience? It's the most valuable tool I own, worth more than the $40,000 instrument sitting in the back of my truck. Pam Westbrook probably would have called me weak. She would have been wrong. Those evenings on the porch were the best part of my day. The smell of Earl's coffee going cold in his trembling hands. June bugs thumping against the screen. The same 3 stories about engines he'd fixed decades ago, told like they were brand new. That was the life Pam decided didn't belong in her neighborhood. That was the life she tried to bury behind a slab of concrete. The ramp was the first thing she ever sent me a letter about. Unapproved exterior modification visible from the street. A wheelchair ramp for a dying man. I actually framed that letter. Looking back, I should have understood exactly who I was dealing with right then. The morning everything changed. I was 400 miles away, working a ridge near the Smoky Mountains. No signal. Transit set up. Completely cut off. I told Earl I'd be home Friday. What I didn't know was that while I was gone, Pam Westbrook had decided my driveway would be the perfect place for her brand new 3-car garage. I came down Old Beechcroft Lane that Friday evening with the windows down, the smell of cut hay in the air, someone grilling nearby. For the first time in weeks, I felt good. Then I turned toward my driveway and slammed the brakes so hard gravel shot up under the truck. Because where my driveway used to be, there was a building.